Hey everybody. You know what's crazy balls? Like if it was night outside, my lighting would be much better. But I have blackout curtains on my window right now, and my lighting is still somehow not right. I'm like, jeez Louise. Anyway, before I give you any more of my crazy eyes, we should have a good old class today, and hopefully it is going to be much more interactive and knowledgeable, but I gotta get my bits and pieces up as we go. Okay. Hello. Hi there, Haley. Hi, Juan. How you doing? I hope you guys are doing really well. And again, sorry about my freaking lighting. I will sort this out at some point, but yeah, I'll just bitch and complain about it in the meantime. Alrighty, but welcome to the class today. Now, for what we are going to be doing today, you know what? Maybe it's just the fact that I'm wearing this this pink sweater. You know what? 1 second. I'm going to change my sweater. Because whenever lights are on and everything, perhaps it will be easier to see me if I put gray on. Can't wear no colors. Isn't this some silliness? Anyway, hi there, Aurora. Hi, Orthoa. How are you guys doing? I hope everybody is well. So that was just my fault. I need to remember that I can't wear bright things on camera. Anyway, welcome to today's class lesson. It is all about pendulum wheels and boards today, and kind of how to utilize and optimize them to the best of our abilities. Because, hey there, Jessica, sweetheart. Hey, Joyce, sweetie, it's lovely to see you guys. And this class is going to be really good for anybody, truly. Whether if you are not good with a pendulum at this very moment, I still say that is okay. You can still practice it and you can still try. It is a wonderful tool to have during your journey, especially when you're going through moments where you may feel off or a little confused and you're just like, I just want to know what's going on, or I just need to know an answer to this question because it's all jumbled up here and may just feel a little weird in the energy. But if you program a pendulum to your source code, to your source core, which is within the network of source anyway, you will always be able to kind of have an answer real quick, even though it may not feel like, oh, but it will be there for you. I sometimes go back and use my pendulum too. If it's a question that I have that I'm really invested in the answer in, and I'm like, shit, fine, I'll use my pendulum because I know my pendulum is directly linked to my source code, my source. And because of that, the truthful answer will always come about, even though I may be like, please, let it be something else. It's like, no, all right. So that I can go on from there. Alrighty. So what you are going to need today, we're going to be going through, of course, the bits and pieces on the board, but I do very recommend that you get a pen and paper or something that you can write on, because we are going to be making our own pendulum board, or our own pendulum wheel today. You can, if you are very crafty, you can make that into a board, or at least, yeah, have the information there. So, yep, get a pen and paper, make sure that's ready. And of course, if you haven't had some water already, I definitely recommend drinking a little bit of water. Because of course, whenever we are going through a practice, using our energy, we need some water. Especially if you're joining in with me anyway. Hey there, Namir. Hey, Karen. Lovely to see you both. Welcome. Okay. So, firstly, when it comes to a wheel or a board, and a lot of us have wheels and or have boards, you know, where you just have, and usually it looks like either a circle or a half circle, and it's got the alphabet, the A, B, C, Ds along there, either some numbers, sometimes the dates, the month, or the years, or all of those bits and pieces, just some very general things. Now, it can be, a pendulum board can also be looked very, very much so like a Ouija board. And I know some people are like, yo, I don't deal with Ouija boards, you know, I don't do that shit. And that's because many people, hi Keith, welcome honey bun. A lot of people associate Ouija boards with, of course, spirits or bad shit or things that can come through, you know, and communicate with you, and you just don't know what's coming in. Yes, you are absolutely right. A Ouija board definitely does do that. However, a Ouija board can be programmed just the same way a pendulum wheel or a pendulum can be programmed, or any other of your spiritual tools. Do I use Ouija boards? No. But if somebody wants to, then you can still follow the same steps to cleanse it, to protect it, to kind of make sure that you're only getting only one person, or yourself or your spirits or your higher consciousness can actually access you on that board. But for today, we're going to be using more of the pendulum wheel. But anyway, that was just the bits and pieces. Hey there, Lori, sweetheart. Welcome. It's lovely to see you, my dear. So so the first thing, what we're going to need to know about wheels and boards, if you already have one, I definitely recommend you go grab that, or have it next to you or with you, because as we're going through these things, you can also kind of be like, oh shit, okay, let me cleanse this right now. Let me fill my energy with it, or let me program it. And you can follow along and definitely see how much better it may work after this, right? Because your intention and your knowledge and awareness is just like, all right. Ortho, totally trust my pendulum and wheels. Great connection to your source. Right, exactly. Thank you so much. So you're not just hearing it from me, you're hearing it from another fantastically high frequency lady. Okay, so step number one, and I know it's hard to see this at this very moment. Firstly, whenever you're using a board or a pendulum or a wheel or anything like that, the first thing you want to do is know what you want to accomplish or truly know out of this. You know, hey there, Tessie. Laura, I draw my own boards. It's fun. I know that I have a whole booklet of my own wheels that I use. And, you know, we can get really, really down to some good ass business with it. But of course, the reason why this is number one, you know what you want to accomplish or know what you want to know, is because a pendulum wheel or board can only give you so much information. And usually, especially if you've got it programmed to your source code or your source, it's going to give you a very accurate or truth that comes to it. So it's not that the pendulum wheel or board is giving you incorrect answers. For those of you who have already tried using it, usually it's just a sign that your question is not as precise or is too open that it can accurately say this is what it is. Because it's kind of like playing, you know, the game 21 Questions. If you guys ever played that when you were younger, or Pictionary or Clue or whatnot, you can ask the questions and you only get a yes or no answer back, right? Or it can only direct you in one place, which is why if you want more than a yes or no answer, which is what we're going to be doing today, this is why we create these wheels or use a board. However, just bear that in mind, right? On the other end, when your source is trying to communicate with you, there's only so much information that can be given within the swing of a pendulum. So if you don't know truly what you are trying to gain out of this, then it can cause a lot of confusion. An example would be, and I use love and relationships a lot because I think these are pretty easy examples because a lot of people go through it. A question I would get, do they love me, right? And the thing is, it's like, you'd think that's a yes or no answer. But that's not actually what you're trying to ask or what you're trying to know at that moment, or that's, well, not that you're trying to know that, but let's say that a lady goes, does he love me, right? Well, according to her energy at that moment, she's trying to feel if there's a reciprocation of emotional feelings. Now, and when she's saying, does he love me? She's actually asking within the capacity that she knows what love is within herself, right? However, if she doesn't understand what love truly is, she may be asking that based on an insecurity, you know, such as attachment-based things like, oh, does he love me? And then you're probably going to get a no for that. And then it'd be like, oh, shit, that, like, he doesn't love me. But it's like, well, no, not really. Because if you wanted to really, truly know how he feels about you, then you need to ask more investigative questions. So, for example, you'd ask, wait a second, do I know how to love myself first? Yes or no? And if you got a no on that one, then you'll realize, oh shit, That's probably why individuals can't love me in the same capacity, because I don't even know what it is in the first place. And then you can go on and kind of address that, right? That was just a brief example. I hope that made sense. Hey there, Danielle, sweetheart. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely to see you. So again, know what it is that you want to accomplish, or truly know from this. Be as finite as you can be, and that way you're going to get to that answer, or you're going to find the pathway to it a lot faster. Second part, you need to use use with your source code, right? Or your truth, or you got to program it too, all right? So, and this is another thing where a lot of people have troubles or issues, because they will buy a board from the internet or from maybe a craft station, or it's beautiful and it looks lovely, and they buy all the equipment, they buy the pendulum, and then literally when they start swinging, or they're just like, okay, let me use this, and it starts going everywhere, or it doesn't give an accurate answer, it doesn't even swing very much, and that's because you need to program that sucker. Because otherwise, you're kind of working off the same way a Ouija board works off of, which is just whatever comes through, comes through. The board itself, depending on who created it, if it was you that created it, wonderful, because then it's going to house all of your energy. So it's going to be easier to work for you and get accurate answers. However, let's say you bought a pendulum wheel or a board from the internet, and it came through, and maybe it was mass produced, maybe it was a quality production from another individual or on Etsy or something. Now, when you get that board, that is going to be wholly absorbed into whoever created that board, right? And if it was created mass produced by a machine, then who packaged it? What was the facility like? It will absorb all of that energy where it was created. Now, if somebody was creating your board and they were full of fear, they were full of anxiety, they were full of stress, they were full of just, I just want to get a dollar from this, then when you hold your pendulum over that board, there's going to be an interference with the energies. It's going to be harder to find your own source code versus whatever it is, whatever has been absorbed within that. So kind of like if you're trying to paint, you want the canvas white or blank, so that you can get accurate, detailed colors. But if it comes already just full of everything, you can see how it's going to get harder to actually find a clear answer. Danielle, I'm at work, but just saw your live notification. Wanted to say hi and give you some love. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Well, I hope you can listen, but hey, if you got to work, you go do what you got to do, sweetness. Hi, Elio. But thank you for dropping in. And thank you for, following through on the notification. I know some people don't get the notifications because Facebook's a douchebag. But anyway, so going back to it though. So yeah, we need to program it. Now, how you program it, we're going to be going through that in just a moment. I have done other lives on this as well. But how you program it, we'll go on that one. But yes, definitely do so. Now, number 3, and this is going back to the programming as well, but you need to cleanse the board or tool, whatever the tool you have, whether it's the board or whether it is, a wheel book, or whether it is a pendulum itself, or any tool that you have, you got to clean that specific tool. Now, some of you may be like, well, Kulipuk, when I got my board, I threw it in some salt. I washed it off. I put it under the moonlight. I put it under the sunlight. I let it cleanse that way. And that is perfectly fine. However, there is a faster method that you can use to cleanse your board. And when you cleanse it with your own energy, you can actually fill it up within your own energy. Kind of like plugging your phone into the charger, right? It just give it some time, give it a little minute, and it will fill up. And then once you have actually cleansed it with your own energy, you've got a canvas that you can paint on within your own shit, right? Which is the best part. Well, I find it to be the best. Anyway, best methods for me whenever I'm using tools. Okay, and when you are cleansing it with your own energy, you are also, again, imprinting it or programming it within your own source code at the same time. And by the way, when I say things like your source code, it is my way of saying that your source connection. We are all connected to source. We all have that, right? However, this is your unique identification within that. right? Within that code, so which will work best for you. Okay, number 4. At this point, once you've got all of this done, you know what you want to accomplish. You've programmed your pendulum. You've programmed the things to know that, oh, only my pendulum loves you. It's rocking. Yes, with truth. Thank you so much, Orthoa. By all means, everybody, you can do what Orthoa is doing. Hold your pendulum up and just let it swing according to my voice too. And then you can also tell as well. It's really fun. But thank you, Orthoa. I love your pendulum too. But, okay, so once we've done all of these things, then we go on to the optimization through deeper questioning, okay? Now, this is the part that I really, really like because it allows you to, if you're claircognizant and you are constantly asking questions and so forth, then this is going to be the fun part for you. Clinisha, hi, can you teach us tarot cards also? Okay, tarot cards specifically, the traditional tarot and everything like that, I don't study it very, very closely. So whenever I'm using tarot cards, the meanings of things, I still use my book because I'm like, I only remember things as and when I need them. But I can, the same way though, but to help you out on this one, the same way you use your tarot cards, we can use that still as a tool. So if you have tarot cards rather than a pendulum wheel, you can still follow the processes you can still follow these processes, to be honest with you, when you're using tarot. However, the meanings, if you have a book, so this can also work with oracle cards too. So if you have a book that tells you what the cards mean, or maybe you don't have a book and it's just written on the card, then you can still use these, right? But still just have a look at what the meaning is after you've done all this stuff. And usually that should make a little bit more sense. But I can do a separate lesson specifically on cards though. No doubt I will use my own Source Truth card deck to show you what I mean when it comes to those though. But if that'll be okay, then yeah, let's make that our next lesson. So number 2 on Tuesday, that shall be our lesson then, Clinisha, which is how to use tarot cards and how to find the meanings or the interpretation using the intuitive guide behind it. So if that works for you, then let's do that on Tuesday. Hey there, Mark. Welcome, sweetheart. And Jessica as well. Lovely to see you guys. Okay. So anyway, let's go back to number 4 here. Optimization through deeper questioning. And as I mentioned, if you are claircognizant, you should find this part quite enjoyable because claircognizant individuals naturally ask a lot of questions in the first place. However, if you are not cognizant or cognizance isn't your strongest ability, or even if you're just like, I don't even know what the hell cognizance is, don't worry about it. It's just about expanding yourself to kind of ask as many questions about the topic as possible to broaden the amounts of answers that you can get in one sitting. And lastly, going on to number 5, we have trust, right? After you've done these steps, you gotta trust what's in there, right? Because at the end of the day, if you go through all of these processes where you're like, okay, I know what I want. I've cleansed the tool with my code. I've cleansed the board and everything with my code. Everything is programmed to what I need it to do. I've optimized with deeper questions. And if you went through all of that and at the end of the day, you get the answer, you're like, nope, never mind. I don't know. I don't trust this. Then it's kind of like, and I guarantee you, even if you don't trust what you got, you will no doubt go to an individual like myself or like Orthoa or like Mark or like so many of you watching and ask the same question. And they're probably going to be like, well, this is what I got. And you'll be like, shit, that's exactly what I got. And then I would, and if you came to me, I'd look back at you and just be like, why didn't you trust yourself in the first place? And then you're going to have to be like, shit, why didn't I trust myself in the first place? So trust it. And just remember, trust is one of the most wonderful qualities that you can adopt during the spiritual awakening process, because on a real, like I mentioned, we go through some shit during this awakening process. We reveal to ourselves things that seem so unbelievable. we experience things where it's like, is this a movie? You know, like, is this really happening? And it's like, it is. So trust yourself, trust your experiences, trust what you are experiencing and what you're going through, especially when it comes from your source code, because that's the beauty of how this veil is being lifted from our eyes. And your pendulum board, wheel, or tools can really help you understand these things. So let's have a look here. So if we are all good with this part, we are going to go into more of the practice side of making a pendulum wheel or board or cleansing and going through those kind of things. So firstly, let's grab your tool. Now, I've done this in other classes before. If you have already followed my my other classes or my other teachings on how to program a pendulum, then you are more than welcome to still hold it and follow along. So if you've already done this and your pendulum is programmed, then if you do this with me today, I will give it a booster in energy. I will just fill it up and give it a nice recharge for you. Whatever it is created or made from, whether it is crystal, metal, or whatever, I will boost it up for you. If you have never done this before, right, then we will go through the processes of programming it, of charging it, and you'll still get a nice top up, but there's going to be benefits for everybody. So firstly, let's take your tool in itself. I've got my pendulum here. You can see that I've actually broken the chain. My pendulums don't, like, I usually break the tip off at some point. I go through these, right? And yeah, that's anything. Anyway, mine is blue lapis with it was a gold plated chain, but now it is very, very faded just to see the regular bits. But mine is lapis because lapis is, blue lapis vibrates very much with me when it comes to communication. So it gives me a nice clear line that's suitable for my own energy. Gold, or how it was gold, also transmutes my energy very, very well. So that's why my pendulum looked like that. Now, if you have any pendulum, as long as it vibrates with you or resonates with you, please do use that. If you are a collector of pendulums, you can do this. I recommend doing this with each one of your pendulums that you have. And if you do not have a pendulum, you're like, oh shit, I want to have one. I don't know, where do I get it? Where do I go? You can use anything. Get a piece of string and a ring, you know, something that has a little bit of weight on it that you can tie to a piece of string or a chain. The closer it is to you, the better it is going to be, well, the easier it is going to use for you at this time. Because if you have a ring that is yours, it's already attuned to your energy, or it has already absorbed a lot of your energy. And that will give you a stronger kind of... Sorry about that, you guys. Oh, aventurine, green aventurine. Oh, that's lovely. Hi, Susan, by the way. Hi, Ursula. Okay, and Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. So when it comes to... Let's put that back on. I just topped all of ours off while you're offering power-ups. Oh, please, definitely. By all means, like, if it's... You can just have only your pendulum, but if you have any other tools... then whilst I'm here, whilst I'm kind of within my focus to charge things up, bring them all out. I'll charge them all up. I don't mind. I used to do that. I did that as an offer one time. I was just like, hey, I'll charge your spiritual tools. And it was really cute because after... I say cute just because afterwards so many, like, I had so many goes like, holy shit, it's moving so fast. I'm like, yeah. Laura. Oh, nice. Okay, Laura, I went looking for one day, and when the lady... Sorry about that. My thing keeps freezing. Hopefully it won't be too bad. But actually jumped out and landed in my hand. See, Laura, that's a side, like, take this one. Joyce, the one I have with me now is Tiger's Eye Wolf Head. Ooh, the Tiger's Eye is definitely going to help with the focus. So yeah, this is beautiful. Opalite, oh, that's lovely. Ah, see? Some good pendulums around here. And I'm hoping they vibe real deep within you. By the way, any pendulum that you have, and as I'm charging it, it will also amplify the usage of that. So for example, Joyce, with your tiger's eye, that, don't get me wrong, I'm not a crystal person, so I don't know the meanings to all of the crystals just because I wasn't as interested in it. But I do know tiger's eye will increase focus. So as I charge your pendulum, it will charge the natural bodies of that crystal as well. So bear that in mind. Okay. Hi, Cherie. It's lovely to see you. Alrighty. So we have your pendulum. What I want you to do is I want you to take your right hand. Now, specifically, I'm asking for the right hand, or I'm saying program with your right hand because this is the hand of your masculine energy, or the magician's hand, if you know tarot card as well, because it is the masculine also representing this material. So because this is a material item, I'm going to place the entire pendulum in my hand because I'm saying I want to physically, in this dimension, see or amplify the energy within this, right? Okay. Charge the cards too. Excellent. Everything. If you got it, do this with absolutely everything. Now, if you're charging multiple or programming multiple things right now in this session, please get them. And so, for example, if you have cards and a pendulum that can fit in your hand, hold both of them in your hand. However, if it's a group of things, I want you to place them all in front of you. So imagine this is my table. Place your cards. Place your cards. Place your pendulum. Place whatever tool that you have in front of you. And I want you to take your right hand and you are going to put your hand on all of them, right? Everything that you want to cleanse, because we're just going to do this all in one go. The more things you are doing, the longer it may take to cleanse and charge. However, that's fine. It just means that you're waiting there for an extra hot second. Okay, so whether you have your hand on your staff or it is in your hand, you are going to put it in your right hand. Now, I want you to just simply, you're going to close your palm or just like, as I said, place your hand over. And I want you to just kind of take note of how your hand feels with your pendulum in it or your tools on it at this very moment. It should feel pretty normal, or just as you were a second ago. You know, just like, all right, we're fine. Okay. So, as you have the understanding of what it is, you close your hand and you are going to connect with your source now. All right. Now we're going to connect the third eye and the heart, but definitely a heart. And so now I want you to imagine that beautiful bright white light shining from your chest and know that that is your core energy, your source code, your source truth. This is you. So take a moment if you need to breathe. Have a glass of water. Have a sip of water if you need to as well. Karen, it's already warming. I know I'm trying my best to. Okay, I'm going to take this out of my hands so we don't go too fast just yet. But okay, make sure you are nice and breathe and connect to your core. So envision that bright white light and then ask yourself, how does it feel? Now what you're going to be looking for is a nice, soft flow of energy, or sometimes it will come out as a tingle. Other times it may feel like a flush of, whoo, that feels good, or anything like that, but you are connecting. It's a good feeling though. So connect to your core. Okay? Right. Now, as you are connected at this very moment, I want you to also imagine a bright white light connecting to your third eye. Now, this isn't normally a step that I put in there, but I'm putting it in there now because it's just going to amplify it even more. Okay? So heart connection, third eye connection. And your third eye may start to glow with some light as it is connected. And breathe. You're going to breathe while you're feeling all of this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now I want you to envision that light that is connecting your third eye and your heart space. It's going to kind of make a triangle. And as we come down your arm, and we're going to now start to flood your tools with your light. Okay? So that connection of heart and mind is coming all the way down your arm, coming through your right hand, and it is going to start to heat up. So yes, quartz crystal and is heating up. Orthoa, that's for you. Okay, excellent. Now, that heat, I want you, now if you were to imagine your pendulum or your board or your tools, whatever you're doing, I want you to kind of envision what it looks like. And it feels like, or it looks like that white light is now enveloping this entire the entire tool. But it's not just wrapping around it, it's going through it. So your light is now becoming it, or it is becoming your light. And it is going to get warm. It's going to get a little hot. Okay? So keep your hand on it. Now you can use your third eye and just be like, what does this look like? And you may start to get a vision and where it could look like, oh, it's almost full. Because for myself, what it looks like is my pendulum looks just as normal as it is, but then it looks like a really bright white light is filling it up, like it's being filled up with liquid, until when it's fully completed, it will just glow pure white. That's what I get, right? And so when it's glown perfectly white, you will find that vibrant energy that was starting to heat it up starts to cool down, where it's like, oh, I'm starting to feel normal now. So a lot of you may starting to feel like this is getting normal, or it doesn't feel like there's any activity going on in my hand or under my hand anymore. At that point, you know that your energy, to be honest with you, we've just we've cleansed it, has now been filled with this. Okay. So Orthoa, makes sense, was vibrating and now it's back to normal. Excellent, because it is complete. There is no more energy that can be filled into your tools at this point. You're fully charged, right? Now, once you are fully charged, we are going to program it. So if you've already programmed your tool, then you're absolutely fine at this point. However, if you've never programmed your tool before, we're going to program it now. Programming it is really simple. So I want you to, Joyce, yours was hot. Yes, we may still have some heat, and because of course your hand is heating up quite a lot because it's vibrating with the energy pulsating through it, and then of course that gets hot at the same time, or whatever the tool is. Okay, so to program it, we are going to use our intention, all right? And our awareness and our understanding of what we are doing is going to amplify our intention. So the intention is, and I'm going to paint a picture for you here. We know that there are lots of things that want to communicate with us, to manipulate us, to flow us in an opposite direction, or to cause confusion and chaos and all of that stuff. We know that there are things like that out there. We are saying, that shit is not allowed to come into our connection within our source code. So, with that being said, holding your pendulum in your hand or placing it on top of all of your tools, and I want you to truly command this energy at this moment. You are not requesting. You are not going, please only let my source code answer on this. You are saying, no, only my source code will be allowed to answer on this tool, on this pendulum, with this board, on these cards, whatever you are charging and programming. Tell it. And you may feel a little silly or a little bit like, oh my gosh, I'm just talking to this rock. You're not. You are commanding and controlling the energy within this item. Okay? So, take a breath if you need to. And you are telling it. And when you tell it and you make a command, there is no other possibility, right? That is that's going to happen on this. Okay? So as we're holding it, only my source code will be allowed to answer on this pendulum or on your tools. Repeat that. Say it. Say it with strength. Only my source will be able to answer on this. If you like, you can end with a TCOS or this is my will. It is so. Right? Whatever you can do to solidify that only you, only right here, only the truth of all of the universe is allowed to answer on this. Right? Because that truth is you. Right? Okay. So, once you have completed this, right? Once you've completed it, you should find that your pendulum likes to swing really, really strongly at this point. Or for myself, it's really, really strongly, but for yourself, it should, if you don't normally get a super strong flow like this one, and sorry, mine always goes really strong. If it's more like soft like this, you should start to feel that it gets a lot stronger as you simply talk and move on and go for it like that. Okay. Now, if you have a wheel, all right, if you have your pendulum board and wheel, I would like you to grab that right now. So clear it off and do the bits and pieces. and I want you to give it a practice run. So, and you know what? Let's just write over this in another way. I don't want to try to get rid of all of my writings here. So let's say this is your board or wheel. Okay. Oh, you can't even see that. All right. I can't even see that on the camera. Let's grab a different. Can we see this one? No, that's pretty light too. All right. Can we see this one? That's a little bit better. Okay. So this is your pendulum board or wheel. If you have the yes or the no's or the maybes in the center, wherever your wheel is, we are going to try that at this very moment. So I want you to hold up your pendulum and go to the center or the starting point in your board or in your wheel. If you do not have a board, you do not need one for this part. I just want you to hold up your pendulum, and again, or you can start on your board, and you want to go, show me where the yes is, or the truth of my heart, or the yes, or something to say positive. Now, as you can see, immediately mine starts to swing in this northeast direction, because whenever it's swinging in this direction from my heart space, that is the truth of my heart. That is the black and white truth. There's no other kind of bits going. That is the truth, or my ultimate yes. Now, for yourself, it may want to swing in another direction. It may swing in another way, or if you are on your board, you want it to go directly to and have a good, nice, solid response to the yes on your board. Okay? Now, once you have done that, hey there, Moon Sweetheart. Welcome, Honey Bun. I'm Amy and Sarah Beth. Hi, Honey Bun. Okay, so now that you've gotten that part, and just give it a moment too. Now, I'm going to move on with the lesson just because I've got to get through that. But if you're like, you're going too fast, Coolip, then what I'm going to say is pause it or come back to it later. Rewatch the video later and kind of like pause and go at your own pace at this time as well. But we're just going to move forward a little bit, because otherwise I know I'm going to be here forever. Okay. Now, once you have your yes, you are then also going to say, well, show me what my no is. Now, as you can see for myself, it immediately takes a turn and goes like, as if I'm shaking my head, and that is my no. Now, the reason why you're asking to say, show me what a yes is, or show me what a no is, because at this point, your source is going to show you, this is the controls, this is my answers, this is how I'm going to communicate back with you. You can assign. Don't get me wrong, you can say, well, I want a yes to be straightforward, or I want a no to be back for it. You can say that. However, when you're in a natural state, your source code is going to want to take over, and at that point, it'll just go into the direction that it normally wants to go in without you programming it to say this or that. So I definitely recommend just allowing it to show you what your yes is or what your no is. Now, if you are going back to your pendulum board, you're going to want it to go straight to the no section, wherever that may be on your board. So we're kind of just judging the response times at this as well. Now, if you are, you're going to also ask, well, what is my maybe? And holding it up. So for, again, myself, my maybe is to a northwest direction. And so I'll know that, if I get a maybe answer, it's like, okay, I need to, well, it's maybe, right? You just got to investigate a little bit further. If you are on your pendulum board, you are going to go and you're going to see that it goes straight to the maybe section, right? Susan, I love pendulum work. It's my first comfort of, hey, I could do this. You're exactly right, Susan. When I first, and that's a great point. When I first started with my pendulum, I tested the shit out of it. I was just like, I'm not moving this. I'm not doing this. And then I thought, maybe it's because my hand is going like this. Maybe it's because I'm purposely trying to move it. But to be honest with you, if I'm purposely trying to move something, I have to focus on my hand, and then I have to, this is me purposely trying. You can see that I'm purposely trying to push it. However, if I'm not, what happens is it starts moving first, and then with the momentum, if it gets strong, it starts to move me. And that's when I'm like, okay, hold my hand steady. I'm not doing anything, and it still moves. right? And it's wonderful. I've done it for a couple people I know, and of course was spot on, right? The more you are trusting it, the more you are understanding it and optimizing things, the more shit works, right? It's fantastic. This is why I'm like, it's such a valuable tool. Okay, so now that we've got our yeses, our nos, and our maybes, and if those came up really, really positively, then we're pretty much good to go. Anything else on your pendulum board or wheel will be... you'll be able to find or navigate to at that point. Jessica, mine is only vibrating. Okay, now if you have, if you are finding that your pendulum, and I'm so glad with this, if you're finding that your pendulum sits there and just goes like this, well, I'm trying. See, you can tell when I'm trying to move something because it looks really obvious. Okay, so if you're finding that your pendulum you're holding up and you're like, show me a yes or show me a no, and it's only vibrating, it's one of two things. Either one, you have entity infiltration. So remember how you said we programmed it to be like only our source code. Now that means that something else is trying to answer. Right? However, when your pendulum is programmed or your tool is programmed, it will sit still and be like, I ain't moving for you. So that shake is almost like you can try to imagine like an entity coming over your shoulder trying to push it to answer in you, like it's trying to push an answer for you, but your source is like, I'm not moving. Get the frick off my tool, right? So if you're finding that, try to let loose on your mind. Try to let go, relax yourself, breathe for a hot second, just loosen up a little bit more, because the entity, or if you have entity infiltration, they're trying to get in your head, and perhaps as well, if you are trying to ask a question, but it is coming not from your heart, but it is coming from the entity, then it will also stop and not move. Right? Or it depends on what the question is as well. It can also say no, right? And just be like, I refuse to answer, or it's like re-ask it in a different way. It may start to go in a circular motion, or I will not answer, which is normally for me in a clockwise direction. So again, if it stands still, something else is trying to move it, right? Rather than yourself. So yes, calm yourself, breathe, relax, and just be like, and reiterate as well, only the truth of, or only my source code. Really put your will in there. And then once you've kind of got that, keep going again, right? And do practice. It will start to work for you. I promise you on this one. Christy, I can control the pendulum through intention. Yes, definitely. That's also another thing as well. So the tool can be switched, for when, for example, like I would try using my telekinesis with my pendulum. So I could be like, go around in a circle and then go into nodding, yes, and then go into the maybe and so forth. So yes, you can definitely control it with your intention. And you'll find that it does move. However, when you're asking questions, you want to have your intention to simply know what the answer is, rather than... you've got to be open to knowing whatever the answer may be, so that your intention to give you the answer doesn't come in, if that makes sense, right? Because I can say, show me a yes, or I can say, go into the yes position. But if I'm asking a question such as, is the sky green, purple, yellow, and colors of the rainbow, it's automatically going to go into, well, maybe, because technically you've got the northern lights and stuff that can be very colorful at that point. But see, this is where we ask more questions at the same time. But either way, it's going to want to move. So let's have a look here. Susan, so I've been under spiritual attack a lot and think I've found a past life soul piece of me, but I don't know if it's an illusion. Well, Susan, if you've got your pendulum and you've went through the programming bits, you can ask that question, right? You can hold it up and ask and just be like, wait a second, why do I want to know with that question? And then you're like, I want to know if it is something real or if it is an illusion. So with that case, hold your pendulum up and just be like, is it real or is it an illusion? And there you go, right? Susan, it says maybe. Okay, well, keep that answer in mind, because when we're going down to 4, optimization of the questions, we can get a little bit deeper into it. Laura, what way does it move for a yes question? Now that's depending on your programming. Now, for example, myself, when I have a yes, it goes straight forward as if I was nodding. So my no is like nope, but my yes is like yes. However, when it is a yes, for myself anyway, that always means that, oh, keep going, keep asking more questions, because we want to get to the solid truth, which is on my northeast section as well. So, so again, everybody's yes it could be similar to mine or it could be different. It really does depend on what your code is trying to communicate to you. So practice does make perfect. Jessica, thank you. I'll go into meditation first, then try it again. Excellent. Excellent thing to do. As long as you are just really clean within yourself, you should be just fine. Christina, hi there, sweetheart. That makes sense. Why I used to be confused about asking my pendulum questions. Yeah. You know, and it can be very, very, it can be very frustrating when you are holding it up and all you get is a vibration and all of this kind of thing, right? Usually after you've programmed it, or, well, what was the difference? For myself, when I first started, before I had really truly programmed it, the aura, now you can hold your tool up to a wall that has a neutral color like mine, right? And as you're holding it up there, look at it, or look through it, and you can see the aura. For myself, when I first started this, it was blue. And I was just like, this is where I was like, but it's giving me inconsistent answers. And then when I programmed it to source, the aura immediately changed from blue to purple. And at that point, any question that I asked from it would come up more solid. And if it was from an entity, it would stop entirely. And I was like, you know what? That's some good shit. That's how I knew anyway. Christy, I have one I use in healing sessions when called to clear blockages. Counter spin clears. When it clears, it stops. It will swing to balance when reverse spin to indicate clear. When complete, it stops and moves aligned with central column. See, beautiful way of using it. Christy, that is a wonderful way of utilizing or optimizing your pendulum, because it really can be used in so many different ways. We just have to know how, right? So that was fantastic. Laura, I've done it before and it kept going around in circles and got stronger as I asked. See, for myself, this is for myself. If I go in a clockwise direction like this, it's like I won't answer. Like, or this is not something that you need to know right now, so I'm not going to answer. If it is, ask again, like rephrase the question, because I know the answer that you want, but I can't give it to you within that question. For myself, that's when it goes counterclockwise, right? And that's, I'm like, oh shit, okay, rephrase the question like I'm in Jeopardy or something. And I do that. But again, this is where we do more investigation. When you ask a lot of questions, you're going to start to learn the language and what it does at what point. Like, what does going in this direction, or coming backwards, what does that mean? But it will be attuned to yourself. Okay. Alrighty. So let's have a look here. So now that we've got our pendulum board and everything like that, let's go on into the actual wheels. Now, how you can use your board, if you've got the yes, no, maybe, and the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so forth, you can use it very much so the same way you'd use a Ouija board. If you want to ask it to spell things out for you, it's going to go from the center and go to A, C, M, U, and everything like that, and you can just spell it out and go from there. So that's just regular kind of like, what's your name? And it'll spell it out at that point. Susan, oh, don't forget to send the negative energy away too and call back your energy. Now that's the thing though, Susan. This is why we went through these steps here. Because once you are filling and cleansing your tool with your own energy, that actually counters the negative energy. Now, if you are allowing negative energy or entities to come into your space, that's your will, right? So, for example, if you are, like what Jessica was going through there, you know, it's just like, it's just not moving. Well, that's because the programming says, no, it won't move. So that will say, no, that that energy cannot answer on this. However, if you are getting that on a regular basis, right? So I want you to think, right, if your pendulum is hooked up to your source, right, and it is constantly not moving, that would be like your guide going, you have some shit around you that we need to address, you know? And I'm not going to answer on this until we address what's going on. That was one way that I told myself many, many times. Oh, don't worry, sweetheart. That's the one of the ways that I was able to indirectly tell myself that, hey, entities are around. They're not going to get through on this channel, but they are around, so you should have a look. Kind of the same way if you're on the phone in public, you know, and you were talking to somebody and somebody, you know, your spirit tapped you on the shoulder, just be like, you've got eavesdroppers, you know, on your call. You'd be like, you know what, yeah, fuck you, and walk away. But yes, so with that, it is kind of, so this is kind of like, again, the protection that you already have, or something already instilled, your automatic kind of bits and pieces as well. But definitely, if you do have any negative energy around you and you want to send that shit back to where it came from, please do. That's just a regular part of cleansing, which I think is always good. Alrighty. See, I'm talking way too much. Let's go into, very quickly though, the different kind of ways we can optimize these answers. Now that we've got the yes, no's, the maybe, so's, and you can, you know, just general questions like that. Susan, Spirit says, I can't know it all yet. Example, yeah. But that's the thing. No, none of us know it all at any one point, you know. Like, I know that I know absolutely everything in the universe because my source code definitely does. Do I comprehend all of that right here in this physical vessel? Of course not. I would be bored shitless. That's no fun as an experience. So we all get to learn these things. This is wonderful. Okay, so let's go on into a pendulum wheel. And you know what? Let's, I want to show you how to optimize the question. So I am going to get through this, or get rid of this for now. So the first thing to do is I want to show you how I'm making some of my wheels here. Now these wheels that I make can range anything from, for example, a very simple wheel or a half wheel. This one is, I made this for reasons behind the lie. So, you know, if you're around somebody who is constantly lying and you're just like, why do they always lie? You know, I made one for this because I was just like, I want to know what is their motivation behind this lie that they continuously do. So for myself, I made a half one where I'm like, okay, what are all the reasons why somebody would want to lie? And this is where we go into asking ourselves these questions. Now for myself, some people lie because they're simply ignorant of whatever the situation is. Some people lie deliberately because they are trying to manipulate you. Others lie because of their own insecurities. They're just scared of revealing their own shit, so that they lie to cover their own ass. You know, some people lie because they're just so scared at what the truth may hold in it, right? So that's kind of like an avoidant lie. Others lie to gain acceptance. You know, like, oh, I'm going to tell you that I'm really good at crocheting even though I know I'm not, just because I want you to like me, right? So it's not necessarily evil kind of lying, but it's just still a lie. Some lie for sympathy, you know, just because they want you to feel bad for them, and that's also another manipulation part. Some people lie, but their words are altered because of the truth. You know, like, for example, it's not that they're not telling the truth, they're just saying it or phrasing it in a slightly different way, right? And that can be there. And of course, there's the external manipulation. So, Susan, trust your gut. They lied. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. However, being the cognizant person that I am, I always want to know, okay, why? Because if there is somebody who is lying because they are trying to gain acceptance, right? Then instead of me taking their head off and going, what the fuck, blah, 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 I can be like, I accept you the way you are, there's no need. Right? It's how you can kind of address it and how you can kind of maneuver, versus somebody who is deliberately lying in order to try to manipulate. That's when you can be like, all right, these gloves, they coming off. And I'm gonna react in this kind of way. So that would be an example. So that's a simple kind of wheel to make. Now there's also, for example, my other wheel that I made, which is a general energy assessment, right? I made a general energy assessment because, and this is going to be good for people who are already readers. If you are already following, doing light work and following that path and doing so, sometimes you need quick understanding or quick references. And that's why I made this pendulum wheel up, so that if I'm with a client or I'm there and I could sit and I can feel the energy, but that may take me 4 minutes. Versus using my pendulum, this will take me 4 seconds. So instead of me taking 4 minutes to feel the energy, I can simply go take 4 seconds and still have a lot more of the hour available to speak on all of the other things that we found out, right? And it also is a great way to truly assess yourself, when you are in places of confusion and all those bits. So again, this one is a little bit more complicated. Let me grab the other one. Now, pendulum wheels can also get really complicated, right? And so this is one that I use for emotions. You can tell that there's loads of different parts as well. So for example, if there's an individual that comes to me, or you can also use this for yourself. So if there was an individual that came to me and said, okay, I am sad. Their energy said they were sad. So from that, I'm like, okay, you're sad. Let's have a look here. Why are you sad? Or what emotion is causing the sadness specifically? And then it will be like, oh, well, are you lonely? Are you vulnerable? Are you in despair? Are you depressed or are you hurt? And then if it comes to any of those ones, well, then we isolate it a little bit more where we're like, okay, well, if you're lonely, is it because you feel abandoned or is it because you feel isolated, right? And then we can literally have get deeper into the cause to understand the effect of sadness at that point. But still, this is a really big wheel, right? It has loads and loads of sections. So I would definitely say don't limit yourself to simply what is on a specific board or what is, again, there's so many different ways that you can use a pendulum wheel. Now this, and get creative too. Did I write out each one of these emotions and so forth? No, I didn't. What I did was I'm like, that's too time consuming. I went online and on Google and I just put emotional wheel and it came up. And so I printed it off and I edited it to make it more suitable for a pendulum. And I printed it off and I'm like, there you go, right? So there's so many ways you can utilize this. Christy, emotional wheel, brilliant, right? It's wonderful. Moon, the body has 22 different emotions. To be honest with you, Moon, I think the Vestal has just as many emotions as there are in a color wheel. When it comes to, or just as many words that are in a language. I think 22, I think we can categorize them. So, for example, we've got angry, sad, bad, surprised, or happy, so we can make that. But when you go deeper into those, there's so many different more categories. Just the same way you have red going into like red and purple. Well, somewhere there's going to be fuchsia in there, and that's going to be a different emotion in itself, right? But anyway, that's another story. I am already at the end of my class, so let's make a wheel real quick. So to end this class, let us make a wheel together, so we can demonstrate how we are going to go, how we are going to make this for the best optimization of our bits. So tell me, what is a topic or a subject that you have continual questions on a regular basis? Now, For example, so we're gonna pick our main topic of focus. Main topic. What would we like our main topic? Right? What would we like for our main topic? Oh, my pleasure, sweetheart. Ignore this. I do write backwards, and I'm just doing it fast. So, what would we like to make a wheel on today? Christina, mental blockages. Okay. Let's do that. Mental block. Sorry, I'm wearing shorts today, so like, let me pull these down. So we're gonna go with a mental blockage. Okay, so mental blockage is our topic at this very moment. So let's have a look here. We're gonna make our wheel here. Or actually, before we do that, let's actually get the things. So let's list all of the things that you can think of that would cause a mental blockage, right? So I would say, and work with me here. So I would say tired. Anytime that I felt that I have been having a block or felt foggy in my mind, I've been tired. Right? Another one, confused. What's another one that we have? Oh, death or grief. So grief can be in there. Christina, one comes up for me is fear of rejection, for example, or self-sabotage. Both of those, let's put them both down. So, rejection or self-sabotage. All right. What's another thing that people block themselves? Sometimes people just don't want to see. Refusal to see. To see. Avoidance. You know, people are also avoidance. Okay, what else do we have? Is there anything else that we can think of as to why and you know, whenever you're doing this, try your best to be as expansive as you can be. Because oftentimes when people think of their own so for example, if we're talking about mental blockages, you may look at it as your own thing as to what you have experienced so far, such as, well, I know I was mentally blocked when, or the words couldn't get through when I was depressed or lonely, for example. Karen, lack of self-love or lacking self-love. Okay. Self-love. So lacking self-love. Abuse, yeah. Okay. Trauma, yeah, we could. Trauma, there we go. Let's have a look here. So unexpressed trauma, exactly, yep. So we'll put that down as to there. You know what, let's even put down shadow work. Okay, I'm running out of places, but that's fine. We'll use what we have here. So thank you so much for popping that in there. Now, again, what I was about to mention though is whenever you're making up this list, be as expansive as you can be. So even though you have, whether you have experienced it or whether you have not experienced it. So for example, I may not have felt a refusal to see anytime recently, but I know that could be a possibility. So I'm still going to put it in there anyway, right? So put in as many things as you can. Now that we have all of these things, what we're going to do is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So on a separate piece of paper, you're going to draw a nice little dot in the center, and you're going to draw a circle around it. And we are going to draw in 11 different spokes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we'll just put an 11 in there. Does the wheel have to be completely accurate, like in terms of equal numbers? No. This is not math class, and this is not geometry, so that doesn't matter. The main point is that you have a center circle so that you know where your pendulum can start from, and then you know where it is going. So just because it's easier and it's cleaner when everything is nice and even, but is it a requirement? No, not at all. Like, for example, do I have some here? For example, relationships, love and relationships, how do you feel? So for example, you can see that I have some spokes in here that are not quite even, but it still works out just fine, right? So that's okay. So now that you have all of these, you would want to write them all. So for example, you'd write trust over here and so forth, but I don't have the room at this very moment. So let's just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I definitely recommend, like, as I said, on my pendulum wheels, you can see that I've written out exactly where it is. But for this, I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So, with that being said, now Christina, you have asked, what is, like, I feel a mental block or a mental drain. Now, I'm using a number system just because I'm going to be holding my pendulum up. Or actually, you know what? Let me draw it really quickly on a piece of paper here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh gosh, I implore you to, whatever you do, at least get some straight lines in. This is atrocious for me, right? So I've just written it like this as a quick kind of thing on mine because I'm not being very, very, very neat at this very moment. So let's go back to Christina's question. So she's been having mental blockages. We've listed definitely a few things that have been going on. So now I'm going to take my pendulum. I'm going to ask, so what is Christina's, and my pendulum is going to understand through my own intention, and because I'm doing this, through my intention, it's going to know what these numbers mean. So as I hold this up, what is Christina's main issue when it comes to her mental blockage? Now for me, it's going straight to 11. So that's telling us, oh shit, Christina, you got to do some shadow work. Now we can still go on there. Even though you've got that one answer, we can still keep going. So what is the shadow work? What should Christina be focusing on according to this wheel? I'm getting 3. Grief. Okay. Is there anything else that Christina should be looking into at this very moment? 5. Self-sabotage. What else should Christina be focusing on or looking into? So, grief, it goes back to grief. Anything else that she should be having a look at? I'm getting a 10 as well. So trauma as well. Okay? So, Christina, oh man, I figured that. Now, Karen, it's swinging back and forth. We're gonna have to be more, we need to be more specific. Like if we've got this going on, or on this, or if it's just swinging back and forth here. Oh no, I'm so happy this is helping you out here, Moon, because it really can help so much. So from this understanding of what we need to do, Now we know that, Christina, this wheel is all about mental blockages, right, that we've made specifically for you. Now, if anybody else is going through mental blockages, please use the same thing, or even think a little bit more deeply and just be like, what else is it? What else could it possibly be? And make a list and pop it into a wheel. So, Christina, my dear, you need to do some shadow work, focusing on the grief and also the trauma that you have been through, right? And also, let's have a look here. So grief and trauma, that was 10. And shadow work, yeah. So the 11. Alrighty. Anything else that she should have a look at the same time? Also have a look at rejection. Sorry, yes, 4 is also coming up as well. So have a look at that one. And that's where you need to focus on your shadow work. And thus we could be like, shit, this is where I'm getting the mental block. Well, now follow the instructions. Now, if at any point you're just like, well, shit, now I need to go even deeper into this, you can make a wheel for each one of these. So you can make a wheel for, okay, grief. What are the possibilities? Take away this list and make another one. What are all the things that I've been grieving over? You can be like, over your self-love, over the loss of a family member, over the loss of something, over a loss of some kind. Make the list out, make the wheel, and then go for it. You know, you can go through absolutely any of this. So the trauma part, list all of the things that you know have been traumatic in your life, you know, and all of the reasons why, and pop it into a wheel and allow yourself to guide you to where you need to go, right? Susan, I never used the wheel before, just yes and no, so this is so helpful. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, because we can really make a huge difference when we learn how to utilize this stuff. Stacy, I don't know what shadow work is. Shadow work is also inner work, which is basically you addressing all of the things that don't make you feel good, you know, inside, and really doing some looking at your own self. So for example, Stacy, you know, when we have somebody else in front of us, it's usually easy for us to see all of the negative shit inside them. Like, wow, they're really judgmental. Wow, they're really like prickly. They're like a prickly player. Or wow, they get used all the time. They're so easy to manipulate. We're able to see all of those things, right, in somebody else. Well, the same way you're able to be like, wow, they're so judgmental. You have to look at yourself and just be like, wait a second. Have I been judging people? Have I been judging myself? Shit, I judge myself all the time. Why do I judge myself? It's because when I was a young person, I was always criticized and judged by my parents, so I always learned to judge myself. And is this something I think is valid now? Not at all. There's no reason why I should judge myself. Let me release it. Trauma. You know, let me release the shadow work. Completed. That was a very, very, very layman's way of doing it. It does take a lot more time, but it does work. Susan, it's identifying what makes you feel fear, depressed, guilt, etc. Yeah, all that jazz. Oh, I've been doing shadow work without knowing. Yeah, exactly. You know what? It is an action. We can label things. I'm going to say shadow work. You know, some people say shadow work. I like inner work. Either way, it's always work. So take time out to do that kind of work. Thank you so much. I'm so pleased that this class was helpful for you, Jessica Sweetness, and I definitely hope that it is going to help a lot more people moving forward as well. But I've kept you guys for too long. Thank you so very much for joining in on this. Please make up your wheels. Share them. I'm still in the process of it because I'm still writing so much parts of my books. But my book is going to have a section on, of course, pendulum wheels, which I will include in my book, all of the wheels that I've already created as well in that section. But again, that's going to be released when I have more time to write it. But if you need any extra help on your spiritual awakening journey, please don't hesitate to visit my website, pop in, book in. Even if it is, you're just like, hey, I want to know how to write more in-depth pendulum wheels or more to use it. Then shit, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, okay. Sorry. And Christy, can you offer teaching information about land and house clearings? What to work with, protection tools? Thank you. Yeah, of course. But you know what? when it comes to clearings like this, you know, the same way that we cleared our tools and programmed our pendulum, you can do this to absolutely anything. All right. So if you want to clear your home, you can sit inside of your home, right? And again, connect to your heart, connect to your mind's eye, make sure that you are fully connected. And you can sit in your home and just with visualizing and allowing the energy to flood out of you. And imagine your home is being flooded, like with this liquid of light, and starting from your feet and going all the way up until it envelops your whole home. Your home will be cleared. It will be cleared, right? And I mean, and sometimes when you're doing this, you'll as you're visualizing the energy coming up and flooding, you should start to feel it coming up through your legs and to your feet, and as it moves up into the upper areas. And if you're very good with your voyancy, you should also start to see just like bugs clearing out of a place that's being fumigated, or rats or rodents clearing out. You'll start to see the entities or the energies leaving because they cannot take that light, right? And so you shall be cleared. So, and if you feel like you have enough energy to do that to the land as well, same thing. Stand in the land or take your focus to the land. Touch the land. I always use my right hand whenever I want something physical to happen in the material. Touch it, and again, connect to your heart first. Flood that shit. I recommend everybody give it a go. It's like being your own salt lamp, being your own sage, being your own smudging, your own crystals, your own candles, whatever it is that you normally use, or your own ritual. Sit calmly, connect to your heart, focus, flood it, and you'll find that it's like, holy shit, this worked a lot faster and a lot easier, and you are fully protected because your source code, and like I say, it's like the sun. And nothing wants to touch the sun. It can try, but it will get burnt. So you're pretty much cool. You know? Oh gosh. Watch them snakes slither away. You're absolutely right. That's what it is. Selena, please lift this video up so I can watch later. Yes, definitely. The replay is going to be available now. And for everybody who has, of course, supported by sharing, by donating, by just literally watching, and by utilizing the information as well, from my heart to yours, I thank you so much, because I love doing this, and it's nice to know that everybody gets a benefit from it as well. Alrighty. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Cleanse some shit, ask some shit, know some shit, and just go do some awesome shit. All right. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye, honey buns.